Welcome to the Focus on Why podcast. I'm Amy Rowlinson and I ask my guests one simple question. Why? Focusing on the importance of why, I share with you the relatable, uplifting and inspiring conversations I have with people from all walks of life. This podcast will encourage you to focus on your why to enable and empower you to achieve the success you desire. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Welcome to the 14th Reflections and Observations episode, number 99. I can't believe it. It only seems like yesterday that I thought of the whole focus on why concept, and yet it seems like a lifetime ago that I was designing the logo, reaching out to people to see if they would be interested in recording this new idea. And now here we are, the 16th of October 2020. This is the last episode before the big 100. And I'm really excited to share that episode with you as I'll be reflecting on more than just the last 6 episodes. I will be reflecting on the last 99 episodes. Just incredible. So many stories and what a journey we have all been taken on during this time. And I have got a real treat in store for the episode 100, so be sure to tune in. Well, let's get back to the recent episodes. First up is episode 93, Unlimited Choice with Amit Sodha. Now this is an interesting example of the ripple effect. Amit posted a story on his Facebook page which a lady called Sim read, and Sim knows me, and it resonated very much with her, and she reached out to me one day and said I should invite Amit onto the show to share his why. So with my curiosity piqued, I had a little sneak look at what Amit had posted. And I started reading it, but before I'd finished reading the story, I connected with him and I stopped reading and I asked him to come on the show. Now, the reason I stopped reading is I didn't want to read on, and as I wanted Amit to share his experience with me directly in the space of the podcast so that there was an element of surprise from my perspective, because that's the way that I find it works best with guests, is not to know the whole story. Otherwise, I'm biased and I start steering the conversation towards what I want to hear, as opposed to what the guests want to share. And I'm always thinking, what is it that the audience are wanting me to ask them? So that is where we recorded this particular episode with Amit. Now, something that was important to Amit is his daily routine, and in that is meditation. Do you meditate? I used to find it really hard to start meditating and let go of all the thoughts with a very crowded head full of lots of different thoughts going on all the time. People describe me with a bit of a butterfly mind, but over time it gets better. I can reassure you that. And now I reap the benefits, and as does Amit. He says that if he doesn't meditate, he goes off the rails, and says it's a really fundamental part of his life. He sees it as a way to focus, to prepare the mind and his spirit for his day ahead. And if he doesn't meditate, he gets stressed really quickly. He gets caught up with the smaller issues in life, such as being cut up in driving. And the bigger issues, he starts to lose faith in himself, becomes doubtful, fearful and uncertain. Even a feeling of depression will seep in. So he makes sure that it's a daily 15-minute practice at least, so that he can feel centered and just give himself that moment to really feel present. Now, there are many ways of meditating, and just spending a few moments each day to yourself in a quiet space will make a huge difference. If you haven't done it before, there's apps which you could use, such as Headspace or Calm. I would really recommend those as a good place to start. Just simple breathing exercises which will help you to focus your attention and visualization, scanning the body for any issues, noting where you're caught up with distractions or emotions. Just give it a go. It does take practice, but it is incredibly rewarding once you master it. Episode 94, Be Something in Your Life with Manj Mahal. Manj said, you have to keep sowing the seeds. If one door closes, the other will surely open. Be inquisitive and never miss an opportunity to learn something new. Be clear about your guiding principles because they will guide you like a lighthouse. This took me all the way back to Davide Pagnotta's episode, Wise Humanity, where he said, think of purpose as a beam from a lighthouse. Even if the sea is rough and dark, you know where to go. And it also takes me back to a comment I received from a listener right back at the beginning of when I released these podcasts. And she said that the podcast was the water to the seed she'd planted that was desperate to grow, but was still finding its roots. Grow, explore, learn, improve, and help. It's incredible, isn't it, how these words that people use take on so much meaning in people's lives. And the lighthouse, the seeds, the doors closing, they're such fantastic metaphors that people use to describe how they're feeling. Now, these words of growth, explore, learn, improve, and help are actually echoed in my top values, which are growth, learning, connection, and contribution. And I talk of the importance of values a lot. In fact, my recent newsletter today, Friday Focus, is all about values. And when you align your values for your work, you find fulfillment and you become valued for your work. Do you know what your values are? When was the last time you focused on them? And how do you demonstrate them in your life? Quite often we feel frustrated, underwhelmed, overwhelmed, undervalued. And the causes for all these feelings often come down to the fact that we're not living life in accordance with our values. We're denying ourselves the ability to find fulfillment and happiness. And it can be easily rectified. If you reach out to me for a free coaching call on the Calendly link that I've put in the show notes, I can help you to identify and realign your life with your values really quickly. Manj's early inspiration and emotional impetus was instilled by her grandfather, who shared with her a really important message early in her life, and that was to be something. This episode really resonated with many people as they reached out to share their feedback after listening to Manj's story. Comments such as Manj spins so many plates but always achieves her goals to the highest of standards, always a professional with deep core values and guiding principles. Manj is a pioneer in her family and has confronted many obstacles, refusing them to allow them to prevent her from achieving what she does. Indeed, she always looks for another door to open if one closes. I can't help thinking of that Monsters Inc. film, which has all those doors on loads of conveyor belts and many doors, different colours, different types, different ages. And that's how life is. Different doors with different people and different adventures behind each one. Next up is episode 95, Truth with Clarity with Martin Morrison. Wow, that was an emotional journey that he took us on. Hearing of his abusive childhood was difficult to stomach, as was his emotional turmoil as a young adult. Martin demonstrates his inner strength and natural ability. He is a great storyteller, and that is why his profession is as a ghostwriter. He certainly has a way to hold our attention and tell his story. Martin's pain is evident, and as he shared his journey, he took us through a whole range of emotions, not knowing where each turn would take us. One of the analogies that Martin uses is how we should be like a drop of water going down a window pane, as at any point we are evolving and growing, and we could change direction or discover something new about ourselves at any time. Such a captivating image he conjures here, as I love watching rain trickle down a window, darting in different directions, speeding up and slowing down. It's a great analogy for life. Finding truth is the message that Martin wanted to share here. Expressing his truth, and those are the people that he works with, he enables them to share something deeper within their spirit. It is something that he has a natural connection with, and having found his voice several times in life in different ways, manifesting in singing voice, in the voice that he used to battle with his father, in his voice he used as an adult to express the truth for himself, and for those around him, using his voice through his writing. Episode 96, Do What Makes You Happy with Bushra Mohammed. This episode was recorded right back in May at the beginning of lockdown. And Bushra has patiently waited to share this story with others, as I did record so many episodes at that time, and a lot of them were with the Property Sisters, so I felt it was appropriate to space them out. As my previous podcast was the Property Vault podcast and centred on property, I wanted to make sure that this new podcast, Focus on Why, was non-industry specific and had a varied audience. So thank you very much, Bushra, for being patient and waiting for your story to be heard. This episode was another prime example of where purpose was sought as a result of a dramatic event in the family. For Bushra, it was her husband who fell ill, which led her to the realisation that she needed to put other plans in place for them, to be secure as a family and not be reliant on one income alone. This podcast that I designed was to be relatable, uplifting and inspiring, providing conversations from all walks of life. And this episode epitomises all three of those: relatable, uplifting, inspiring. Many people reached out to share similar experiences that they can easily identify and relate with Bushra's story. She shares the emotions of guilt and regret, the compromises she made on her career for her family, and that delaying the opportunity to follow her path through a lack of confidence. She has now found her own way, and one that she now believes in and makes her happy. She quotes A.A. Milne, and I want to complete the rest of that quote. "Promise me you'll always remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. But the most important thing is, even if we're apart, I'll always be with you." That's the power of friendship and family, a sense of connection and belonging. Good old Winnie the Pooh. Thanks, A.A. Milne. Such wisdom from a little bear. The penultimate episode is number 97, Stand Out in Your Field with Hayley Appleby-Burtt. What a great brand Hayley has with her orange lamb, which of course stands out in a field. Hayley's message is one of the importance of family. After a successful career, Hayley's purpose changed, becoming a new mum, and with a shift in a new dynamic that was created. With Louis being poorly as a newborn, she saw things in a different light. Her perspective and priorities had shifted. Hayley talks of the loneliness and emptiness she felt of being a new mum, and yet she also felt torn, knowing that she should feel happy and grateful for having this healthy, wonderful baby. So she decided to share how she was feeling with others through a blog. Often, people think they're alone in feeling the way they do. However, by reaching out to others and sharing emotions, you realise there are people out there who feel just the same way. I remember being a new mum myself many years ago and feeling so disconnected from my previous life, going back into the office with my newborn daughter and her pram, doing a handover with someone with the work, and as I decided not to return, and the two worlds seemed alien from one another. And I realised I'd crossed into the next stage of my life, and this was in my late 20s. I remember wanting to prove myself as a new mum, always needing to feel that I could held it together, confident in my actions, feeling that I needed to have all the answers. But actually, I recognised the importance of asking for help and sharing these vulnerable moments. And that came when I had a miscarriage in between the two children. And the reason I share this publicly is that it's a topic that is rarely spoken of. It's a traumatic experience for all involved. And it's important to reach out for help. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Hayley showed her strength by being honest with her experiences and writing her blog about the topics that are not readily discussed openly. Hayley proved by reaching out instead of crying to herself, she was able to connect with others and recognise after reflection what changes she needed to make for the better. Very brave, Hayley, and thank you for sharing your blogs. I absolutely love them. My final episode before we reach the big 100 is episode 98, because this is episode 99. And episode 98 is Path to the Main Stage with Lee Hayes. And what a wonderful conversation this was. Lee has many stories to share up her sleeve as she's a speaker's agent and showcases emerging speakers. A serendipitous moment led to this new career for Lee, as her redundancy coincided with her brother needing a new agent to help him to continue in his speaking career. Being the brother of Mike Michalowicz has his benefits. Lee talks about how important it is to touch other people's lives, to speak and share the knowledge. You may not know the results of the information you share and what people do as a result of hearing it. How you affect people, you just don't know. But knowing that you made the effort to stand up and be visible with the knowledge that you're going to help someone else should be a reason enough just to do so. As a speaker, I know how important it is to share a message, as long as it's a message worth sharing, that is. And in the last month, I've been involved in a speaking competition called Speaker Factor. It's the annual competition held by the PSA, That's the Professional Speaking Association in the UK, and it's a pretty big deal within the organisation. It's an opportunity for emerging speakers to have their moments in the limelight and share what they can do in front of their peers. Let me remind you, my peers are professional speakers, some of whom have been for decades. So not much pressure at all. I entered this competition with trepidation, but knowing that there was going to be a win-win result, I was very keen to do it. If I didn't get through the first round, I'd receive great feedback on how to improve. However, I did get through as I won the regional title of PSA Southeast Speaker Factor winner. I didn't win the final, but I was a finalist alongside 12 others, and I couldn't be more proud of what I've achieved this year. Just creating this podcast during lockdown, I can't believe how successful, how rewarding, how uplifting and motivational it's been for people. I just want to remind you, if you want to achieve something, you have to put yourself forward and rise to the challenge. Now, this doesn't mean always being in the limelight either. You can be backstage to the main stage and still make that difference. This is how and where Lee works her magic. Lee doesn't seek the limelight. She doesn't want to be the star. However, Lee is a star in her own right as she shines her light on so many others. Lee willingly gives her time to help emerging speakers to grow, learn and improve, knowing that in turn the ripple effect of her work will continue in the lives of others. Those 3 words again: grow, learn and improve. You may never meet the people you impact, but know that they exist out there. And this is the underlying theme of the podcast for Focus on Why. In fact, it was the reason I decided to celebrate episode 100, centering on the audience and asking them to share some of their insights of the show. The title for episode 100 is The Ripple Effect. And in this episode, I will share with you just some of the ripple effects that this podcast has created since launching on the 30th April, 100 episodes ago. Be sure to tune in, as it's a powerful episode highlighting some of the special moments and sharing with you the insights and takeaways from some of the listeners who are based all around the world. As always, please reach out to me if you would like help focusing on your why. If you need help identifying your path forward in life, or help understanding what your special powers or super strengths are and how you can align them with your core values to find fulfillment in life, just give me a bell. There's a Calendly link in the show notes where you can book a free 20-minute coaching one-to-one call with me to talk about your personal or business why and how you can become more productive and fulfilled in life. So, final message: stop existing, start living. Stop filling in the moments and start finding moments of fulfillment. Thank you for tuning in. Here's to the next 100. Thank you for listening to the Focus on Why podcast. I'm Amy Rowlinson, and if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star Apple Podcast review. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook and become a member of my inspiring, uplifting and positive Focus on Why Facebook group. I help people to focus on their why with clarity, uniting their passion with their purpose with a plan to create the life they truly desire. If you would like me to help you focus on your why, then please book a free 20-minute coaching call via calendly.com/Amy Rowlinson. And if you haven't already, please sign up for the Friday Focus weekly newsletter via my website, amyrowlinson.com. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.